Hi there. So I got a question about how to create an elevation set of elevation views within your layout using SketchUp. There's a few steps there to it. You'll notice that my little cabin here has a clapboard on it and some windows and a roof and shingles and all that stuff. Try and put some of that on yours, if you know, just to goof around with it a little bit, to give it a little bit of depth, a little richness when you're looking at that elevation set of elevation plans. So this will only take a few minutes, and I'll go through, let's say, two of them, and you can go in and do all the rest. So I'm going to start with SketchUp and my model. The first thing I want to do is I want to turn off these axes. I want to turn off my red, blue, and green. So I'm going to go to View and Axes and turn that off. So now I just got this cabin floating in the white space. If you don't have white space, go back into Styles and Default and pick Shaded with Textures down here. So it's Shaded with Texture, right there, Shaded with Texture. You don't want anything else. You don't want them with the background and stuff. You just want white background, shaded with texture. You want to make sure that your axes are turned off. Then go into Camera and make sure you have it on Parallel Projection. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create what are called scenes. And close up your styles. Close your styles window, and your scenes is right here below it. If you click on the plus sign, you're going to add a scene. It's going to ask you about your style, so just click Update the selected style, Create Scene. So now you've got this window down here that's showing you Scene 1. If you scroll, you'll get your detail right there. So go in and change the name of Scene 1, and let's call it Isometric. And hit Enter and come up to Camera, go to Standard Views, and then select ISO. Now this is not a great one. I'm not a big fan because of the angle that it's on. So give it a little bit of a shift so that it looks a little better for you. Then go back to your right hand side, scroll up, and this little update scene, click on Update Scene, and you're going to get these properties to update. Leave them all checked. Click Update. Now you'll notice up in the upper left side I have one called Isometric. I'm going to click plus and add another scene. And you'll notice in the left there are now two pages here. This one, I'm going to make it my front of my house. So this will be my front right here, and mine is going to be facing the south, so I'm going to call it my south elevation. So what I'll do is I'll come back down here, scroll down, and I'll highlight that, and I'm going to call it south elevation. And I'm going to leave all of these checked. Don't play around with any of that stuff, and hit Enter. Now I need to change the image, so I'm going to come over to Camera, and I'm going to pick Front, because that's the one that is my standard view for this, is the front. Right there. So this is going to be my south elevation. Now I have to go back up and click Update Scene. Remember, leave all these and just click Update. I'll do one more for you now. So I'm going to repeat that, click the plus sign, added a scene. I come down, I'm going to highlight that, and I'm going to call it my, let's call it my east elevation, which will be the left or the right side of my cabin, the right side of my cabin. So that's going to be my east elevation. You can keep the same directions that I'm using, so everybody's front should be the south. So east elevation, Enter, come up to Camera, pick the right side of my cabin, so there, and scroll back up and Update Scene. Leave all that, click Update. So now I've got these three images here. And if I click on each one, it shows me different views that will become my elevation views. So now I'm going to save this. So I'll just File, Save, and I'm going to export it out to Layout. So by sending it to Layout, I'm sending the last one that I selected, which is going to be my east elevation. That's the one that's going to pop up on the main page in Layout. And Layout, you have a few steps as well, nothing major. I'm going to grab my template. That's the MUN one that you should have in there. So now I've got my MUN template, and I've got my little cabin here. Now it's kind of small, so I'm going to select my model just by clicking on it and check that it says yes, it's the east elevation. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change my scale. I'm going to change my scale to something that's a little reasonable. Right now it is 1 to like 48 or something. Let's try 1 to 32. Let's try 1 to 24. See how bad that is. That's not bad at all, actually. So we'll go with that. So now we're going to take it, and because there's not a lot of white space between here and here, we're going to take the model and move it up a little bit, keeping it centered. So now we have our model, and you're going to come in here, and this is my east elevation. All right, if I forget that, I can click on it, and it'll tell me right here it's my east elevation. So down in the bottom, I will change my title to say East Elevation. And this can be sheet 2, 3, 4 of 6, or however many you have. You should have 6 in the end. You should have an isometric, 4 elevations, and your plan view. Right? So that should be a total of 6 pages of imagery. Don't forget your scale and all of the rest of the stuff that you should be pretty used to by now. The next thing I want to do now, though, is I want to create another one. So I'm going to come right here to Pages. Let me see where it says Pages. I'm going to create a duplicate of the one that I have. So I click Duplicate, and it should go back to page 1. Right click on it and rename it. So this is my East Elevation. East Elevation. Page 2. I'm going to rename it to my South Elevation, because I have that one done. So select your model, and when you select it and it's all highlighted in blue, right click, go down to Scenes, and pick your South Elevation. It pulled all the ones that you created in SketchUp over to Layout. Okay, I'll do that again for you. So select your model, right click, go down to Scenes, and pick your South Elevation, and it will change your image. It keeps everything in the same, it keeps your scale the same, it keeps all of that the same. Once you've got it done, you would click plus right there. You're going to repeat this process, and let's do the, you'll do it for the west and north elevation views. Let's do the isometric one that I did for at the beginning. So I'm going to put in isometric, and I'm going to grab my image again, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go to Scenes, and I'm going to grab isometric. Now it's cut off some stuff, so I need to change my scale. So I'm going to scroll back up, and I'm going to pick my model. I'm going to go to my scale, and right now it's 1 to 24. So it's ½ inch equals 1 foot. So let's make that a little bit different. Instead of 1 to 24, let's go 1 to 32. All right, so that's a nice little image right there. And I've got my pages down at the bottom. I have my isometric, I have my south elevation, my east elevation. You will have all your information changed here. When you're ready, you'll go File, Save, and you'll give yourself a, whatever you're going to call it. I've already called mine's Cabin in the Woods, and you'll notice it changes everything here on the side for your label. If I were to pick my south, it's going to tell me my isometric. And now I'm going to export this as a PDF file. So I click on File, Export, PDF, and it's going to ask me a bunch of questions. Just ignore them all and click Export, except for your location. I like to choose mine somewhere I'm going to find it. And for this application, we're going to call it the desktop. Save and export. You won't get that overwrite, that was me. And it'll pop open in a PDF format, and it'll show you that you've got one of however many pages you've developed, and each one will be here with your information that you will have all done, and you'll be able to print those. You'll be able to use them, hand them out to kids when you're doing, when you're all awesome and stuff. You'll be able to put them in your document for me as an appendix or an appendices, depending on the number you have. Okay, I hope that helps. I'm sure it will. There's a lot of steps, and as I said before, we've only scratched the surface of what SketchUp can do, but this is just one of them. And it's a multi-view, but it's on separate pages, which is how blueprints come. Okay? Alrighty, bye.